Good afternoon, folks. Well, not very good afternoon. Now, unless you've been living underneath a rock here in the UK, no doubt you would have heard about the mass shootings in Plymouth. First off, my condolences to all the lives lost. I pay my respects. I'm sorry for your loss. Now, to the gunman. Apparently, it's been reported that he's part of the Incel community. Now, this is where you need to educate me. Now, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. I watch stuff about the Incels. I watch Incels channels like Face and LMS. I watch stuff by the Red Pill. I forget his name, but I watch a lot of Red Pill contents. And obviously Black Pill. Now, on LBC Today, I tell you something. Incel community, your name is dirt. They're really, I mean, they associated you with terrorism. They associated you with hating women. There's a woman who published a book, Men Who Hate Women. They're associated with you a whole load of negative stuff. They talk about another woman said she interviewed some incels and they actively promote raping women, harming women, mass injuries or mass murders and stuff like that. Now, this is where I need your help on this, because either I've been watching the wrong incel content, or there's another side of the incel community that I don't know. I know nothing of, because I've watched stuff like Face and LMS. I've been watching them for quite some time now, and other incel content. I can't remember their names. Not once have I heard any of them say that they hate women. Never heard them. They also accused the Red Pill of being misogynist. They said that Red Pill is like about white men who claim to be the victim, but there's lots of black men who are on the Red Pill. They spoke of the manosphere as something extremely dark and negative. So again, come back to the incels. Is there a side of the incel community that I know nothing of? Or is this hysteria hype going on? Because, like I said, in all the years I've been watching incel contents, I've never heard any one of them say they hate women. If anything, quite the contrary. They actually love women, but they just can't get any. Now, as you can see, I'm no Chad, I'm no Tyrone. I'm just an extraordinary normie. Why do I call myself extraordinary? Well, you just have to go into my channel for that. Or if you purchase my audiobook, you'll see why. And my lifestyle is anything but like an incel. If anything, I'm the exact opposite end of an incel. Without sounding big-headed, I've seen more action than the average man would see in his life, due to me working as an entertainer. But that's all in my audiobook. Anyway, so let me know what you think. Well, you tell me, you educate me on this one. Have I been watching the wrong incel contents? Am I up to date on the incel community, or is there a side of the incel community that I'm totally ignorant to? Please educate me. Okay, thank you very much, and I look forward to reading your comments. Okay, and once again, for anyone who's suffered a loss due to the gunman in Plymouth, please accept my condolences. Thank you very much. Okay, bye.
Get into shortly. But another group of those people we call incels. Incels are a community of men who despise women, frankly, because they think that women won't have sex with them. And early reports suggest that Jake Davison may have been either an incel or have been involved in that community. He posted videos on his YouTube channel before the horrific attack, in which he directed some pretty horrendous anger at women. So tonight we're talking a bit about incel culture. I want to get into a little bit about what it is, but also more.
But they are looking into the social media and internet background, including Davison's alleged links with the group called Incel.
Thankfully, you might say, particularly familiar with what is an incel.
So an incel is it's an online community of primarily young men who feel rejected by women and take to the online space to voice their feelings of anger, frustration, and sometimes desires for revenge. And as we very sadly saw yesterday, in rare cases, that type of desire for revenge will actually mobilize, and they will move that violence offline and onto streets.
Are there traits that these incels, self-defined incels, have in common psychologically? What defines their psyche? What sort of background? Are there things that you can point to, links between them, that we should be paying more attention to?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I've really fought for a long time. Is so often we've been discussing this lone wolf narrative, both around incel and around, homegrown mass shooters, as we like to call them in the U.S. There's often been this lone wolf narrative, but there is actually a pattern of behavior. They tend to be isolated young men in their late teens and early 20s. Who spend a tremendous amount of time online. In terms of kind of their typology, we tend to see a lot around gaming culture. There's a lot of heavy porn usage, and they become quite fixated on the incel ideology as the reason for their unhappiness, and they become almost laser focused on it. And I think the digital space has fed this in a huge way, and if they're not feeling like they're getting support in their community, if there are not signposted mental health services,
all that kind of stuff, are both predetermined and also the main factor dictating what women find attractive in men. Incels then tend to believe that these factors in themselves are substandard, and that this is why they will always be unattractive to women, and why they are, as they see it, doomed to a life of involuntary celibacy. Their words, not mine. And this whole idea of involuntary celibacy is obviously where the acronym, the abbreviation incel comes from. The empirical evidence that is available indicates that these sort of notions contribute to a pre-existing sense of isolation and loneliness that these individuals tend to experience. And that over time, by engaging with others online and sort of thinking more and more about these feelings, they tend to develop a sort of toxic feedback loop. And over time, this can lead to both increased depression and risk of suicide. And in some cases, unfortunately, it starts to materialize as increasing amounts of frustration and jealousy towards both women and men they deem to be in healthy sexual relationships. And then in a small number of these, So I was going to say, what are the origins of this? So the incel movement itself actually started off in the sort of late 90s. It's actually a self-help group. So a lady in the States who was a PhD student in mathematics, I believe, set it up because she was struggling to find someone to date, and sort of she was struggling to find someone to date. She was nervous about going on dates, felt recluse and isolated, so she set the self-help group online.
Chapter 70.
Den of iniquity.
Hey, babe. Take a walk on the wild side.
Welcome to the Tales from the Little Black Book. One man's journey on the dating scene.
Is available now
on
Rakuten Kobo.